Tonight on our news, over 300 Bahamians were honored today for service to their country. We've got details from the ceremony at Government House. Plus, how can you help the volunteers who risk it all to help those lost at sea? Archie Milimizik has the breakdown, and the work continues. Roads across New Providence getting major upgrades. Then later, an Agro industrial festival is coming to a family island. Find out which one as our news at 7:30 starts right now. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us on this National Heroes Day. I'm Berthany McDermott. Government House was the scene of the National Honors Investiture Ceremony as 300 people were recognized for their work. The honors categories included the Order of the Bahamas, the highest civilian honor, the Honor of Distinction, and the Order of Merit. Some familiar names on the list were Archbishop Patrick Pinder, Justice Bernard Turner, former Cabinet Minister Brenzel Roll, RBDF Commodore Raymond King, and Police Commissioner Clayton Fernander. Prime Minister Philip Davis telling those in attendance to never forget the heroes that served the Bahamian people daily.
The people we are honoring today were worthy of being honored long before they ever received this national honor or title. Looking ahead to the future, we must continue to invest in preserving and amplifying the legacies of our heroes. Initiatives like the National Heroes Park and public education programs are essential in ensuring that the history of those who built this nation is shared with the next generation.
But while the government handed out national honors, one local pastor says they can't do it all, especially when it comes to social assistance. That's where the church comes in. Our Marlena Leonard has more in this report.
The government can't do it all. The church is called to be that light.
That's Apostle Falman Ferguson, senior pastor at United Faith Ministries International. For the past few years, United Faith Ministries has come out in full force on Thanksgiving to provide thousands of free meals for Bahamians, even extending their reach to Grand Bahama last Christmas.
We have a responsibility not only to provide the spiritual aspect, but also to be a part of the social aspect of people's lives.
Just last weekend, the church hosted a National Children's Outreach Day, where families were invited to a Christian carnival. But it wasn't just fun and cotton candy. They also gave out children's clothing.
I believe the church is called to be the light and the salt of the earth. So it's important for the church to see its role as being very, very important. As a matter of fact, after the family is the church. And I think the church role should be creating that balance between the government and, of course, our homes.
So while we look at national heroes today, don't forget to look around and say thank you to some of our everyday heroes. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
And now to the everyday heroes. They're delegated volunteers committed to saving the lives of distressed airmen and seamen. The Bahamas Air Sea Rescue Association has saved countless lives. But as our Jamila Mizik tells us, they now need your help.
The Bahamas Air Sea Rescue Association, better known as BASRA, is one of the key agencies responsible for countless rescue and recovery efforts. Vice President of BASRA Northern Bahamas and Search and Rescue Coordinator Captain Devon Archer says, for boaters, having the necessary equipment on board can mean all the difference when in distress.
The thing about it is most of our rescues, we don't have we find out the captain didn't have the proper equipment, which makes it take us longer to find them.
He adds that cell phones aren't always reliable. Now, if you encounter an emergency scene and wish to help, he says having first aid training is a plus, which is why he's encouraging all boaters to become members of BASRA.
The bigger our database can be, the easier and quicker it will be for us to be on scene when it comes down to receiving a rescue call.
And with big goals to expand their operations, the search and rescue organization will need all the donations and volunteers they can get.
Right now, most of our funding that we get in is going towards fuel on rescues. And without the fuel, obviously, our planes and boats can't leave the dock. Please donate, continue donating to BASRA. to assist us in achieving our goal of owning our own airplane, our Basra rescue airplane, owning our own Basra search and rescue vessels.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Misick.
Thanks, Jamila. We have a lot more to get to, but first, it's time now for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Ian McKenzie is standing by in the Weather Center. Ian?
Thanks, Berthany, and good evening, Bahamas. Currently outside our studios, we're under mostly clear skies with a temperature of 85. Our winds are from the south at 6 miles per hour with a muggy feels-like temperature of 93. Taking a look at temperatures across the country at this time in our nation's second city, Freeport, we have 79, 83 in Arlestown and also Great Harbor Key, a pair of 84s in Nicholstown and Governor's Harbor, 80 in Marsh Harbor, and 85 in the capital. For the central Bahamas, in Camps Bay, we have 86, 85s in Georgetown, Edmonds Key, and Coburn Towns in Salvador, and the cool spot in the central Bahamas tonight is 84 in Arthurstown, Kidd Island. For the southeast Bahamas, we have 85 in Duncantown and Abrahams Bay, a pair of 84s in Colonel Hill and Delectable Bay, 86 in Matthewtown, and 87 in Providenciales, Turks and Caicos. First look at our satellite and radar imagery. At this time, we have a stall-out frontal boundary across the northwest Bahamas, and this will continue to trigger pockets of unsettled weather, mainly across the extreme northwest Bahamas. Elsewhere across the southeast Bahamas, we have a stall-out, pretty much the trough. Troughing, we'd call it, just an area of elongated pressure, and this will continue to trigger pockets of isolated showers and thunderstorms across that area, where even a severe weather warning was issued earlier today. Stick around for extended forecast, and your tropical weather look is still to come.
Still to come on our news. Are officials any closer to meeting with bus drivers over a fare increase? Plus, we take a closer look at the ongoing roadworks in tonight's Work in Progress. And then later, find out how an agriculture event in Eleuthera will tackle food sustainability. That's coming up when our news returns.
Favorite Bahamian artist of all time? I'll give you some time to think with it.
The greatest Bahamian song was recorded by the beginning of the end, Funky Nassau.
We're in a day and age where things can be different and still be authentically Bahamian because it's the Bahamian people bringing it to you.
Junkin was like the heart and soul of the Bahamian culture.
Doctors Hospital is reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
Officials are trying to lock down a meeting with bus drivers as they continue to push for a fare increase, according to Transport Minister JoBeth Colby Davis. Bus drivers tell us the fare increase is needed as the price of fuel continues to rise, along with the overall cost of living. Last month, the association told reporters they were still waiting to hear back from the Transport Minister.
We were planning to have a meeting, but we kept getting conflicts in our schedule, and we want to make sure that good representation is there. We already have the structure of the agenda for the meeting, but we just have to lock in an actual date, and so I'm hoping to have that lock in. I was trying to see if I can get it this month. I'm not too sure, but we're hoping to have the date locked in as soon as possible, definitely before the new year, so that we can get that rollout.
Work on roads around New Providence is continuous. In tonight's Work in Progress, an assistant civil engineer in the Ministry of Work says they've just wrapped up a trial to identify the conditions of roads.
It does it through a video camera, and then it uploads and assesses. And so when you look at the road condition, the majority of the pavement is actually pretty much deteriorating. And a lot of our roads, they're old roads. They were not built as they should have been, because that's how you start. You start your horse and buggy roads.
The vexing issue of potholes remains a point of contention for many motorists, making it a top priority for the Ministry of Works. Hepburn explains the roads have to be laid well for them to last longer, but she tells us that hasn't been the case.
Normally you have a sub-base, like big rocks. Then you have limestone base, which is the smaller fine rocks that's compacted in layers, and then you get your asphalt on top. And you have to have all of those layers have to be compacted well, or they have to be holding up well. And if any one of them, for example, if you have a hole, if you have a depression or hole in the limestone layer, it can cause a sink and then causes an issue.
Because the roads weren't built up to standard, Hepburn says repairing roads is a continual process. So where are they in the process?
At the moment, we are currently closing the arterial ones. And so you might have noticed that there have been some that have been open for some time, a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And at the moment, we're back up to about like 400 or 500 areas, and we're trying to bring that
When
back
our news
down.
comes back from the break, find out how Jonquel Jones and the New York Liberty did in Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. And a local gym owner says business is booming as more people are looking to get fit. The details when our news returns. This is our news. Welcome back. Jonquel Jones and the Liberty lost the first games of the finals to the Las Vegas Aces. Tage Adderley has a recap.
Jonquel Jones and the New York Liberty fell on Sunday evening to the Las Vegas Aces 99-82 in Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. JJ had one of her trademark triple-doubles, scoring 16 points and grabbing 10 rebounds on 7 of 12 shooting, adding a block and a steal as well. But New York's usually reliable shooting didn't show up on Sunday, with the team going 9 for 20 from behind the arc collectively. League MVP Breanna Stewart had 21 points and 9 rebounds, but Sabrina Ionescu, the record holder for three-pointers in a season, was only able to score 4 points on Sunday. Aside from their rough shooting night, the Liberty also had a difficult time defending the Aces perimeter combo of Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young, who scored 26 points apiece. Another guard, Chelsea Gray, also added 20. The Liberty will have a chance to get their shooting and their defense together in Game 2 Wednesday night in Brooklyn.
From the basketball courts to the gym, MacFit West has been open for a little over 2 years, and things have been going well, according to its president, Jimmy Mackey.
I think the feedback has been great. I mean, everything has its drawbacks, no matter how great it is, and I think we've done an awesome job, our team here, just trying to maintain and stay above, the expectations.
And we asked about plans for expansion, opening of a gym maybe in the south or even downtown. Mackey had this to say.
I think, it is in the future. It's in the thought process. I think for me right now, logistically, just kind of figuring out where would that lie, on the map. But there's a possibility.
Still ahead on our news tonight, Duluth is set to host a major agriculture event and a final look at the weather. Find out how the rest of the week will shape up. That's coming up when our news returns. Welcome back to our news. Partly cloudy skies with warm temperatures on this holiday. Wondering how the rest of the week will look? Ian is back in the Weather Center with your extended forecast. Ian.
Thanks, Brittany. Welcome back, everyone, on this holiday. Across the area, we still have this trough in the southeast Bahamas. This will continue to trigger pockets of unsettled weather. Across the extreme northwest Bahamas, we have a stall-out frontal boundary. That area, too, will be subjected to some showers, isolated thunderstorm activity throughout the course of the night and into midweek. Far to the east, we have Invest 92L, which is being monitored, has a high chance of about 70 to 80% for possible tropical cyclone development, poses no threat to our area. Taking a look at our focus area will be the western Gulf of Mexico through October 9th through 11th. This area has about a medium chance for some development. However, we have upper level winds that will not really have conducive environmental conditions. So it will spread moisture across the area through midweek. However, we don't expect any serious development from this system. Taking a look at the boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas, risk of rip currents still out there. Winds variable at 10 knots or less. Seas running 1 to 3, but up to 5 in those northeasterly swells offshore. Low tide at 11:40 p.m. tonight. High tide tomorrow morning at 5:38 a.m. For the southeast Bahamas, a caution in those swells and rip currents. Winds east to southeast 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4, but up to 6 feet offshore in those northeasterly swells. Here's a look at your national forecast. And in your extended forecast, tomorrow again, as I said earlier, we have those showers popping up right through Thursday. More showers into the area into the weekend as we expect a nice cold front. Our first cold front of the season, rather, is expected into the area late weekend into early next week. Watch those temperatures as they should fall. We expect highs this week into the upper 80s, low 90s, but by weekend into early next week, we should see them in the mid 80s for your highs. Lows getting down to the mid to upper 70s and even low 80s where we have those clouds in the area. That's a wrap on the evening forecast. Have a great night, everyone. Work is tomorrow.
Thanks, Ian. Eleuthero will host the Eleuthero Agro Industrial Festival from November 17th through the 18th. The festival will give farmers the opportunity to promote high-quality crops and livestock, as well as provide exposure for small and medium-sized businesses. Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister Jomo Campbell.
The Eleuthero Agro Industrial Festival also provides a platform for knowledge sharing and collaboration. We believe that this festival will provide a melting pot of ideas, technologies, and best practices that will help to propel our green and orange economy forward. Moreover, the festival places a strong emphasis on sustainability and environmental stewardship.
Bahamas Agriculture and Industrial Corporation Executive Chairman Leroy Major says it's all about tackling food sustainability.
The Bahamas import almost 100% of its food. And one of the things that we as a country need to realize that most of the food that is imported into the country is dumped in the country. And so farmers need to realize that, listen, we could do this. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt, in short order, you will see more programs like this from BAIC going throughout the Family Islands.
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Berthany McDermott. Have a great evening, everyone.